In the realm of love and war, few stories resonate as deeply as that of James Mattis, a decorated Marine Corps veteran and former U.S. Secretary of Defense. His journey takes an unexpected turn with a wedding that never happened and a bride who vanished, only to reveal her reasons decades later. The warrior monk's almost wedding. Before James Mattis became a household name for his role as the 26th U.S. Secretary of Defense, he was a Marine known for his scholarly habits and stoic lifestyle, earning him the moniker Warrior Monk. Mattis's military career was extraordinary, a journey marked by bravery, strategic acumen, and a series of commendations that painted the picture of a man utterly devoted to his country. But in 1981, amidst the relentless waves of duty and honor, the heart of the warrior monk held a softer cadence for Alice Clark, the woman who almost became his wife. As a Marine captain stationed in Hawaii, Mattis's life was a tapestry of rigorous training and demanding deployments. It was during this period that he crossed paths with Clark, an attractive, unattached woman who carried herself with an air of independence and shared Mattis's reverence for the military. Their relationship blossomed slowly away from the prying eyes of Mattis's colleagues and was rooted in a deep mutual respect. Their engagement was a discreet affair, with plans for a small private ceremony. Mattis, ever the gentleman, was ready to leave behind the life he knew for the woman who had won his heart. But Mattis's loyalty to his nation was mirrored by Clark's loyalty to his future. 3 days before they were to exchange vows, Clark faced an agonizing decision that would forever alter their course. She foresaw a life of prolonged absences, of waiting and worrying, and of the immense pressures that would come with being the wife of a high-ranking military officer. The wedding was set in Hawaii, a stark contrast to the solemn decision that lay ahead. As the date approached with guests arriving, Mattis remained unaware what was going on. The day of the ceremony. The Hawaiian sun cast a warm glow over that day. The serene setting was ready, adorned with the natural beauty of the Aloha State. Mattis was set to embark on a new kind of mission. The preparations were meticulous, but Clark was grappling with a profound sense of conflict. As the hour drew near, the reality of the impending ceremony weighed heavy on her. Mattis, ever the stoic, likely maintained his composure, the same that had served him well in battles and strategic negotiations. But destiny had scripted a different ending to this would-be matrimonial tale. Clark chose to step away from the life that awaited her as Mrs. Mattis. The altar, set against the backdrop of Hawaii's tranquil waters, remained unattended by its bride. In the hours that followed, the waves of the Pacific whispered secrets only they could understand as the guests left and decorations were taken down. Life after the altar. In the wake of the wedding that never was, James Mattis found himself at a crossroads between personal longing and professional duty. The altar may have been deserted that day, but the path of service that lay before him was not. With the resilience befitting a Marine, Mattis channeled the resolve that might have been spent on marital compromise into the service of his country. His career trajectory, unencumbered by domestic life, soared as he rose through the ranks with the same precision and dedication that almost took him down the aisle. He became an embodiment of military excellence, his life a constant pursuit of strategic perfection on the global stage. The years that followed saw Mattis commanding forces in the most challenging theaters of combat, from the deserts of the Middle East to the halls of NATO command. He honed his leadership in the crucible of warfare, his reputation as a thinker and a scholar of war growing with each assignment. Time, ever the healer, may have dulled the sharpness of that personal defeat at the altar, but his professional life was anything but dull. In January 2017, decades after he had donned his dress uniform for a wedding, he once again dressed formally, this time to be sworn in as U.S. Secretary of Defense. The Pentagon became his new domain where he tackled global threats and national security challenges with the same fervor he might have once reserved for family life. His tenure was marked by the ethos of the Marine Corps, where loyalty, honor, and duty are paramount. However, the pull of personal conviction proved strong, and in December of 2018, Mattis resigned from his position, citing differences from the administration, a move that once again displayed his unshakable commitment to principle over position. Retirement did not mark an end to Mattis's journey, but rather opened a new chapter. It was one less publicized, but no less significant. As he continued to engage in matters of national import, sharing his wisdom with those who would lead after him. The Marine who once stood alone at the altar had traversed the echelons of military and civilian leadership. Alice Clark's confession. In a quiet reflection that often accompanies the aftermath of life-altering choices, Alice Clark revealed the turmoil that had besieged her in the days leading to the wedding. She grappled with the daunting reality of military spousal life, the loneliness of waiting, the dread of news from distant battlefields, and the unrelenting moves that would uproot any semblance of normalcy. Her love for Mattis was undeniable, but so too was her understanding of the gravity of his commitment to the Marine Corps. Her decision to step away was not made in a vacuum of cold feet or passing fancy. Instead, it was a sacrifice born out of profound respect for Mattis's calling and an acute awareness of the enormity of what she would ask him to give up. She foresaw the greatness in his future, a destiny that might be curtailed by the domestic obligations that marriage could impose. Her confession was not one of regret for love lost, but rather an acknowledgement of the weight of what it means to stand beside a person whose life is dedicated to the service of their nation. Clark's revelation was an act of courage, a poignant admission that sometimes love means letting go. As Mattis continued to shape the world through his military and political endeavors, Clark's revelation offered a new perspective on the narratives we construct about duty and love. Her words painted a portrait of two people bound by a profound understanding of commitment, one to a partner, the other to a country. In her confession, Clark offered a glimpse into the personal costs woven into the fabric of public service, reminding us that behind every decision lies a depth of human emotion and complexity that time can never fully erase. Reconciliation. Mattis, the eternal warrior monk, after bidding farewell to a life in uniform and a brief but impactful tenure as Secretary of Defense, found himself at a new chapter. In 2022, he welcomed a new alliance, one not forged in combat or power, but in the gentle bonds of matrimony. He married Christina Lomasny, a physicist and tech veteran who shared his deep sense of service, her battlefield being innovation and science. Their union was not just a celebration of personal joy, but also a subtle nod to the past, a reconciliation of what had been with what could be. The ceremony, held with the Columbia River's steadfast current as witness, was a testament to enduring hope and the capacity for new beginnings. For Clark, who had once stepped away so Mattis could embrace his destiny, there was a sense of closure and perhaps a quiet contentment in knowing that the man she loved had found companionship that complemented his life's trajectory. It was a confirmation her sacrifice had been worthwhile, that the path she chose for them both had led to fulfillment and honor in divergent yet harmonious ways. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts after hearing this story? Let us know in the comments section below.